being all county workers should do that. I know many county workers in the line staff positions in our bargaining unit are told not to talk to the media and warned against it, and all kinds of threatening remarks made about their interaction with the media. What I tell them, and just so you're aware, is as long as they are not representing themselves as a spokesperson for the county, that they are certainly able to talk with the media all they want. They can write letters to the editor, they can identify themselves as a county worker, but as long as they are not taking the position of speaking on behalf of the county, then they don't give up their First Amendment rights when they come to work for the county. So just so you'll know the position that the union is taking on interaction with the media, because some of our folks have caught heat for writing letters to the editor, for being in the paper at all, and that's very unfortunate. We don't want their ability to communicate with the media being hampered. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public want to speak on this? Tom? Oh.
Media. The media rights.
Oh.
Uh-oh. It's the media.
Hi, my name is Mike Adair. I write for the Willits News, and I'd just like to say that I would like to see a policy, because when there's a policy, then people can see it, and if it's going to be changed, then you have to change it, and the public has to know that it's going to be changed. So I think a policy is a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you. Tom, you want to comment?
Thank you, Tom Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer. I just want to clarify some comments that Linda made regarding employee access. It is against current county policy regarding use of internet resources. It is against policy for employees to engage in political activities or to lobby the Board of Supervisors using county resources. Every county employee is encouraged to communicate with their district supervisors or members of the board or their department heads, but that needs to come from the basis of their own personal email and communication. It is not appropriate for people to use county resources to lobby the Board of Supervisors on particular issues.
Real short.
Okay, just that
State your name again for the
Linda McClure with SEIU. When people are hired, the new hire orientation, the presentation that's given by the ISIT department tells people that they can use the county email during their breaks and during their lunchtime for checking their personal email, checking their bank statement, whatever, on their breaks, on their lunchtime. If it's rather a mixed message to say you can do that, however, don't do it to contact your supervisors, or don't do it to contact the media. If they're on their lunch or they're on their break and they're told they can use the email, there's a contradictory policy there that can be confusing.
Thank you.
I don't believe that's correct, and we need to check with our general services, and we'll get back with you on that, because I do not believe that's correct. You know, it does give, when you cross over that line and you engage in the political process with county email, that is definitely against county policy. So I think you and I should chat with our IT director, and if we have some misunderstandings and we're misinforming the public and our employees, we will certainly change that. So I'd encourage you and I will get together and discuss that.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public want to speak on this? Okay, with that, we're going to move on to item 7C. Introduction and waive the reading of an ordinance repealing Mendocino County Code Chapter 8.58, disbanding the Mendocino County Commission on the Status of Women. The sponsors are Supervisors Brown and McCowan. Supervisor Brown, do you want to take the lead on this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Coming onto this board after a number of years of watching the Board of Supervisors agenda, reading the different appointments that need to be made, came to my attention, and has for a long time, the Commission on the Status of Women. And it was established by ordinance by this board a number of years ago, but it has been inactive. Presently has no members. Supervisor McCown and I brought up the fact that if indeed we have a number of commissions and committee assignments and appointments, and that body is inactive, that it should be removed from the permanent agenda. What we're proposing here is that this commission be put to bed, and if it should be needed in the future, the board can always bring it back. And I think it's important to reactivate the commission in the future if needed, but presently from 1986 to today, we have a number of groups that have formed, and women's groups such as the National Women's Political Caucus that do take care of these issues. League of Women Voters, and there's a number that we can bring up, university women. So therefore, I think it's important that we clean up our agenda on these appointments, and I want to enter this as an action.
As an action, that's a motion.
Mm-hmm.
The recommended action. Do you have a second?
Second.
Any members of the public want to speak on this? Okay, with that, no further comments, can we vote? All those in favor? Supervisor Kovac?
Mr. Chairman, I feel this item has not been sufficiently vetted. I recognize, I appreciate the fact that we have had this appear before us every week for the last 10 years. A great deal of effort went into the creation of this commission. I'm not convinced on the evidence that other organizations have somehow filled this gap that the commission was supposed to fill. Looking at it in terms of participation from the 5th District, for many years, the 5th District filled out its quota. Other supervisors were not as enthusiastic or as supportive of the commission, and I think it died a death through benign neglect. And I think here in this particular case, I would suggest here that we continue this item and look for input from the groups mentioned by Supervisor Brown, and also publicize the fact that we have a commission that is about to be disbanded. Symbolically, I think it has its problems. I think the issues that it was originally created for have not by any means been achieved, and I would like to see a powerful and strong and supervisorially supported Commission on Women that truly addresses those issues that were a little bit more in forefront back in 1986 when people worked hard to get this commission put together. So I would not support this, and I would ask the supervisor to continue bringing it forward to allow us to have some time to get some more public input. I comment only because there doesn't seem to be much public input at this point. I don't know that people were generally prepared to give this the attention it deserves.
Supervisor Brown?
Thank you very much, Supervisor Colfax. I am willing to wait until the next Board of Supervisors meeting in order to entertain this motion and action. I know you've been gone recently, and I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to you about it, or that you didn't see it sooner. So I'm willing to withdraw my motion and continue it to an agenda March 3rd, I believe.
I appreciate Supervisor Colfax's comments, but I do believe that some of the work that you're suggesting be done has been done. It's my understanding the clerk of the board did do an outreach to some of the people that formerly served on the committee, and I'm not objecting to a continuance if that remains your request, but we might hear from the clerk of the board what information she gathered, and then decide whether we can take action today